No,
It's the world we're living in right now.
and going to live in for a while.
Not going away anytime soon.
Just gonna have to figure it out, like every other
Keep
thing.
trucking along, man.
That's right. We can't figure
Well,
it
I'm
out.
glad
Start
that our
trying at
kids
some
are in
point.
school.
Okay, I call this regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order on Monday, September 14th, 2020 at 6:00 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Brian Hanson,
Here.
Jason Sampson,
Here.
Dane Nielsen,
Here.
Sandy Garrett,
Here.
Luke Spence,
Here.
Ord Mittman.
He's here.
Okay, first item is approval of the agenda.
I'm here. I'm building.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Brian and Dane, discussion. Council, please vote. Okay. And that is approved. So it takes us into public hearings. Public hearing for designation of expanded Nevada urban renewal area and amendment. So that public hearing is open. Is there anyone here to speak in that public hearing? Karen, did we receive any comment?
No.
Seeing none, we will go ahead and close that public hearing, move to resolution number 21, 2020, resolution to declare a necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa and to approve an urban renewal plan amendment for the Nevada urban renewal area.
Move to approve resolution number 21.
Second.
Jason, Dane, discussion. Okay. Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, so that is approved. Takes us to ordinance number 13, 2020, an ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the September 2020 addition to the Nevada urban renewal area pursuant to section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa.
Move to approve. Second.
That Sandy and Barb,
Barb, yeah.
any discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, that is approved. Takes us into the consent agenda. Any item may be removed for separate consideration.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jason, discussion on consent agenda. Okay. Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay.
Never mind, go ahead.
I have lights. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, and that is approved, which takes us into the public forum. The first item is an award. So I'm going to try to go over there just so that it's easier to present from, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so we have a special award this evening from the Iowa League of Cities, and the League of Cities normally would be meeting in September, but because of COVID, that meeting is not happening. So there'll be some virtual meetings, but one of the people that was awarded this, there's a special award for the Iowa League Legislative Service Award for 2020, which is for Representative Dave Dio. So being our representative, we were asked to present here at our council meeting this evening to recognize Dave. So I'll read a little bit of this and then we'll have Dave come up and Marlis will get her photo now that she's in the room to do that. So since 2010, the league's been awarding a legislative service award to legislators who meet at least one of three criteria. There's one on effort for demonstrated extraordinary efforts to work with the league to pass, alter, or halt legislation. Dedication, shown dedication to city issues, and responsiveness, consistently listened and responded to league concerns. These awards seek to recognize elected officials who have made extraordinary efforts on behalf of the cities during their tenure as an elected official, and specifically during the preceding legislative session. The proposed legislative service award recipients should also have demonstrated their willingness to not only engage, but also to lead the way for Iowa cities. The staff requests the board's review and approval awarding the 2020 Iowa League of Cities Legislative Service Award to Representative Dave Dio. Representative Dave Dio for his above and beyond efforts to ensure that league members' voices are heard and being willing to speak up in his caucus. Representative Dio attends local government and legislative forums, reaches out to city officials in his district for a better understanding of how legislation impacts them, and spends countless hours on the phone and in meetings with local government officials throughout the legislative session. Representative Dio is also known for his extensive efforts promoting economic development in the state of Iowa. And I can say personally, having worked with Dave for quite a while, I mean, he was instrumental with our rural water battles and things like that down at the State House, and so definitely is much deserved. So congratulations, Dave. And we appreciate everything you do. Hopefully distance photo here.
Yeah. You stick your arm out, put one hand on that.
That'll be about 6 feet.
Very good.
Perfect. Thanks, Marlis. There you go. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. And Daniel, did you have anything else to add?
No, that was wonderful. Thank you.
Daniel's here from the League of Cities this evening.
Oop. It's almost duck season.
A couple other items in the public forum this evening. There are multiple proclamations. So one of them you haven't seen yet because we just got the draft here today. We were asked to do one for National Clean Energy Week. So I won't read the whole thing, but it is for the week of September 21st through 25th. So I will sign that and then Marlis will get that out. There's a proclamation for National Direct Support Professional Recognition Week, which is this week, and one for Constitution Week. All of those are in your packet to read. So rather than read them all, they will be posted. So is anyone, oh, actually we did have one request here. So we'll have Henry Corbin go up to the microphone there and talk about Main Street and signage.
All right, can you hear me with this on, or just, I can pull it off if not, so. Hello, Council. I was invited by Councilwoman Eric just to come real quick and give you an update on Main Street's efforts and looking into signage for the district. So there's just been a few questions about it and what we're kind of looking at, and so just here to give a quick update. So our design committee has started looking at other communities and what they have done to create, I guess, design and implement signage plans for their districts. So we're looking at 3 areas of that. So district signage, wayfinding signage, and then the informational signage, ranging anywhere from billboards all the way down to small street signs and building signs. So we're looking into other communities, seeing what is comparable around us for communities. We're also looking at, I guess, all those 3 areas all come together in the fact that in bringing individuals to the district, letting them know they have reached their destination and then helping them navigate it. So those are our main points that we're working towards. We've looked at potentially using some unused billboards and then creating new signs, really looking at different approaches that we can do, and look forward to working with the city to create this plan and then implement it and make sure that we can bring these to fruition. You know, we're excited to showcase what we have and make sure that people can easily find it. But any questions, I guess I can address on that.
Henry, I would just add that I was prompted by the fact that the billboard that we've seen at the intersection of Highway 30 and 6th Street for a really long time that was at one time promoting Southwoods where I live is just really a rusty billboard at this point. So I did look into that. So I have a contact for Henry at the DOT that can work with that sort of signage. It actually, the permits run out, so it's really not going to be a problem to, I don't think, to do what we need to do for some community signage, but there's a contact to work with there. So just wanted everybody to know we don't have to guess anymore what's going on with things, because a lot of people do ask what is the plan. So it's great to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's something I'm really excited about too. Our community betterment committee has been talking signage, and so it's definitely a huge asset to have Main Street help get that across the finish line.
And we're excited to work together on that and really create something that we can all be proud of and really make sure that we get those people coming from SCORE and all the other locations and get them coming here downtown and figuring out where they need to go. So thank you.
Thanks, Henry. Is there anyone else to speak in the public forum? Okay. Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public forum. Move into old business. There's old business A, approved pay request number 6 for the Central Business District Infrastructure Project from Construct Inc. in the amount of $798,108.30.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jason, any discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote. And then that is approved, which takes us to old business B, opening up city facilities. Anybody have any topics for that?
How's the 10 to 2 been going? How has the 10 to 2 timeframe been working?
I haven't seen any issues with it. We haven't, I mean, we're still seeing about the same as we were when we started. So it's not like it's increased a lot, but we are still seeing people, but not.
Manageable though?
Oh, yeah.
Would it make a difference if we opened all the way, or
I don't really think it would be.
would there be any further, I don't know, concerns about our employees if we were to open the rest of the way?
I don't think our employees are really worried about it because we've all been back to a regular schedule. So I don't think any of our employees would be worried about it. No. Story County is still closed. So I didn't know if you guys wanted to take that into effect and kind of match with what Story County was doing, or how you guys wanted to approach it. If we wanted to keep doing 8 to 2 for a while longer and see how that pans out. The cases have, the last 14 days, they're about 11.1% of people tested are positive. So they are a little bit higher, which we kind of expected that in Story County for students coming back to school. So again, I don't think that's something that we would need to worry about in Nevada, but.
Have we had any complaints that we're not open more than 10 to 2?
I haven't heard of any of you. No? Okay.
We still have, if we go open a little bit more, we got plenty of time to disinfect and clean and the things they've been doing. I don't know. I don't remember what you said the schedule was for that. So if it's a morning thing, afternoon, if we're doing it twice a day or once a day or what?
Yeah, so the person that we have sanitizing, she comes in the afternoon. She comes right after she does the school. So it's typically around 4 o'clock when she comes. So if you wanted to expand it a couple of hours, it's not going to affect the cleaning side of things. And she does a great job cleaning. And so I don't think that'll be an issue at all.
Yeah, I mean, being that we have a sign, a couple of them walking up that we require masks, I don't really see an issue opening it up some more. I think so. As long as we don't invade her space, so to speak, so she can continue to sanitize, I'd be okay with opening, expanding the hours.
You think like 8 to 4? So you still have that last hour when she comes over to disinfect, or
It's okay with me. I mean,
that way she's not having people necessarily interacting with her when she does it.
yeah, that'd be okay with me if it's okay with everyone else. I mean,
Okay, I'll make the motion to expand city hall hours from 8 to 4 Monday through Friday.
Second.
right.
Motion Dane, second Jason, discussion.
I don't understand our response. We should be still shut down. I think we should be requiring masks in town. We should be asking the higher powers to require masks countywide, statewide, to help prevent this. This is a public health issue. This isn't individual rights. This is no different than wearing a seatbelt. This is no different than no shirt, no shoes, no service. This is no different than clean water. We should be doing everything we can to try to prevent this. And I know not a lot of people come in here, but there's plenty of other facilities that we have that people do. And I think we should be doing everything we can to try to put a stop to this. Our last meeting, I think, was the day school started in town anyway. Iowa State, I think, started a week earlier. And we knew cases were going to explode. And we became the biggest hotspot, our county, in the country, if not the world, for the time since our last meeting. And as somebody who's been very affected by this through my job, to see us backing up and reducing, basically opening the barn door when the storm comes in, I take that very personally. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. And I think there's a lot of other people in town who do as well, and kind of wonder if we're doing enough and if we're really thinking about trying to get this virus to come to an end. So I'm going to push back, and I don't even think we should be keeping it open.
I'm going to go back to Brian's question. Like, have we had complaints? And I heard a no. So to me, I mean, the public isn't saying get the place open. It's not like that we have people beating the door down. So I would be in the same camp with Luke, to the point of Story County, all eyes are upon us. So I think it's time to pay attention to that.
That was
And we're still managing our business.
That was a brief uptick when all the ISU people came back. We're back down to 12.9% after being all the way up to 27% at one point. And it literally fell within another week or so down to 12.9%. I think it's going to continue to trend down. So
I think it'll continue to trend down more quickly if we take more appropriate measures to try to do that. We had the same goal.
I think it's going to continue to trend down back to where it was pre-school opening. So
I guess my question is where are these people getting it? It's not just that people are getting it, it's where are they getting it? If you go stand shoulder to shoulder inside of a bar with a couple hundred people, yeah, you're going to spread it pretty quickly. If you're coming in one or two at a time at our lobby out here, are you going to be spreading it very quickly? I would push back and say no, especially given that we are requiring masks. I mean, if masks work, if distancing works, which I believe they do, if we implement those things and we enforce those things, I don't see where we're putting the public at undue risk if they come in to do their business. And they don't have to come in. They have the choice to be able to do so. But I think if you're enforcing those two things that work, I don't see the issue with it, especially if we're still giving that hour for sanitization at the end of the day too.
But I think you're right, Dane, that there obviously is more risk to getting it by, going to a bar in Ames on a Friday night. But we're talking about something that started in China and has spread all the way here. So to think that we're safe in Nevada just because we're 10 miles away from campus, I think is a false sense of security.
I don't necessarily think that. My point was that you had a bunch of college kids that weren't wearing masks, that weren't distancing, that were doing nothing to try to slow the spread. Whereas here we are, and we had any problems with people coming in without masks or trying to break the rules in that regard?
There's been a few people that have not come in with masks, but after we tell them that it's required, they grab them. So we haven't had any issues, no.
Okay.
Well, and I would say, you know, when we started this discussion right here, I said I was comfortable with opening it up, and I am. But I also not comfortable opening up if everyone's not comfortable. There's a little more reservation on that side of the room, which is fine, and I'm okay with that. You know, and someone just said it, I don't know if it was Luke or Sandy or Dane or about you don't have to come in and you can do it online. Well, if they absolutely want to come in, then they can probably do it between 10 and 2 like we've been doing. So I don't think it's a make or break thing. Is it maybe showing the right step forward? I don't know on the record if I want to say what's the problem with this whole COVID thing in the state of Iowa anyway, but I will. Our governor won't make a decision. And if she's not going to make one to make it so we can do something about it, because we can't enforce anything. I mean, we can tell them they got to wear a mask in here, but all we can do is ask them to leave. It's not these fines that people are talking about over the state are unenforceable because our governor won't make a decision. And that's what it boils down to. Sorry, governor, but it really is. But I think if people aren't comfortable with us opening up city, then let's see what it does in 2 more weeks again. I mean, we talk about it every meeting. I don't have a problem one way or the other, but I'm okay with opening it, but I'm also a little uncomfortable when there's people involved in the city and stuff that's uncomfortable with it. And if it's been working, and I think Sandy said what I said about no complaints, you know, I guess we don't have to be in a hurry to open it if nobody's beating down the door mad because they can't get in here between 8 and 10 or after 2 o'clock. So I don't see the rush either, but I'm okay with it. But I don't see the rush either. You know, I mean, the facts talk, like Jason said.
I don't think
it's
we've
going
been in
down.
a rush to open it.
What's that?
So we could have opened a long time ago.
Right. Well,
So I don't think we've rushed anything.
no,
as
I don't
far
think
as
so either.
rushing to
But I don't
open
need that. We need to be either.
it. We're not.
You know.
We haven't.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
I think there's a perception though when we decided to open right when it exploded in our county. I think people kind of wonder, at least I wonder, are we doing enough? Are we doing what we should be doing to protect the people in Nevada? And that's, I could not defend that statement after the last meeting. Just tell people that we're doing everything we can.
So how long are we going to keep doing the same thing over and over? I mean, this thing isn't going away. And I know I said it last meeting when we started having this conversation
About reopening City Hall, but it's not going away anytime soon. And at some point, whether that be tonight or in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks or in 2 months, we're going to have to decide and start to try to find ways to continue to function with our rules. I mean, we pay staff to be here. At some point, we're going to have to decide or start to try to find ways forward that are not spreading the disease, but that are allowing us to function, you know, with our duties as a government. And, you know, most of the rest of the world now, and not to say that, you know, if everyone else jumped off a cliff, we should, but I mean, we have our kids at school. We have, to the best of my knowledge, almost every private business in town doing their things. I mean, I've been working through this whole thing. We're almost on an island when we have things closed at this point. And again, not that I'm trying to make a bandwagon argument, but I guess I kind of am.
When you speak about us being on an island, we are on an island because most of the rest of the world doesn't want us to come to their country right now. Part of the reason I don't have a job.
well, and I would say, in kind of what Dane just said, if the mandates by our state to close things, they wouldn't be closed. It would be business as usual for the bars, the restaurants. The ones that can be open right now are open. The only ones that aren't doing business as usual because they said they can't be. So are we kind of on an island if we choose not to be? Probably a little bit. You know, everybody else, I mean, anyone that can be open pretty much is open. There isn't too many people voluntarily closing their business just because. I mean, there might be. I don't know of any, you know. So we're not the only island too. There's hear it on the news every day about other countries that we won't let come here either. So I don't know. It's a hard decision. I don't know what the right thing to do is. We're on an island, we're off an island. The numbers are up, the numbers are down, and it's not going away. Like Dane said, it's not going away.
What's our staffing situation over in the police? Are Nancy and Kathy still splitting time, or how's that going?
You want to answer that or do you want me?
They're still splitting the schedule. 2.5 days.
When I first saw this on the agenda again, all I could think of was the notice that I keep getting from school. And if we were in the position, if we set ourselves up to be as responsive as school is, then can we take cues from each other? Because if kids are getting sick, that's not far from community being sick. I mean, kids I spend a lot of time at the elementary. They're sitting next to the same folks all day long, no matter where they are in the building. They're moving far less than they used to. They have really made it possible for the social tracing to happen in an accurate way. And I get the emails from Dr. Gray saying there's been a positive COVID case and X number of kids are quarantined. Those kids are all belonging to families who in turn are going into community and stuff. If we were to open, I would say we need a really quick way that, like, if school goes to hybrid and they're only letting half the kids come to school, then we need to, we need to place ourselves in the position to come back down. But I don't see us right now, I don't hear in the conversation trying to be as responsive as we were when COVID was more acute and new and we didn't know, well, a whole lot more than we know now, but early on, we had on the agenda to make it possible for us to be responsive, and I don't hear that tonight.
Don't we still have that? I'm not gonna think about where you guys have the authority to make the
Emergency
call.
order?
I can't remember what if we had a.
The order.
Yeah, she's shaking her head. You know
It's
what
an
I'm saying.
emergency resolution.
I'm just kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So we do kind of, Barb, still have that. I mean, we've all agreed and passed that if something happens that Brett and Jordan can boom, say we're closing it right now today. You know, so we do have that on the books.
Mhm.
We haven't not, and I don't remember, was a resolution? I can't remember what we did. Yeah, so we still have that resolution.
So could we say that if school decides to hybrid, that's our signal? I mean, can we somehow do something to create a unified front in response to what, it's easier to know the data from school than any place else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, otherwise it's countywide data. Or if we get as high as we were again in 2 weeks after this weekend of tailgating, even though there wasn't any tailgating,
Right.
If the county pops up again above 20 or 25%, because ultimately we've got folks going to work over there because people are not shut down anymore. Can we protect enough to let kids go to school and our Main Street businesses remain open without having a governor's mandate that says, nope, you can't be open anymore? I'd like to avoid that kind of governor's action.
Jordan, do you know, does the county use any type of metrics for their building down the street?
I do not know the answer to that.
That would align more with what we do here anyway.
Yeah.
Which actually was prompting my reluctance to open because of all this light shining on Story County right now. and all the conversations around, let's just let the county settle down. It just seems like, what's 2 more weeks for us if it's working and people aren't complaining? And then, I mean, we know we're going to keep revisiting it. So to me, it feels like we're in sync with what's going on in our place.
Because is the actual county, aren't they open part-time? And the administration building's closed? They're still
The
both
administration
closed.
building is closed. The
I know it's
courthouse
closed,
is
You
but-
can
open.
email them and call them and make an appointment.
For the
But
courthouse.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember. I knew there was something different between the two. Because I
think
know
they
they're
resumed some
100% closed.
meetings.
Okay.
And one difference between our building and theirs is just the way it's designed. I mean, if you were designing a building for a pandemic, you would probably design our
Right.
lobby where
Right.
you can't go anywhere and it's all encased in plexiglass. There's no elevators and whatnot like they have to deal with. So it's kind of an apple and an orange in that regard, but
Right. Well, and that's something like you just said, you know, we've said it before. It is literally one of the best built city halls we could possibly have to deal with a situation like this. And I mean, I think our job as council, especially job number 1, is keeping our staff safe. And I don't think whether we're open 2 hours or 4 hours or 8 hours, I don't know that we're putting staff at risk by having them in here. But I mean, I guess you could make this argument either way. There's not a ton of traffic out there. It's low risk for transmission. Yeah.
Well, Dane, to answer your question on how long do we wait? You know, I feel like we're still in the middle of the storm. You know, the numbers spike, but the numbers are still as high as they were 6 months ago. And I think we might be kind of getting used to it almost, even though it's still serious. So, you know, the level of severity was, you know, when it was 700 to 800 cases a day in April or May, it was pretty serious, and we're still about that point now.
No,
So I'd say wait until
we're not.
the numbers drop and we've weathered the storm, so to speak.
If the rest of the world keeps doing what they're doing, though, the numbers aren't going to drop. They're just going to keep being the same. And what we do or don't do is going to have very little impact on that, other than the optics, like you've mentioned, which the optics, you know, I get that argument, but I guess from a practical standpoint, what we do or don't do is going to have a remarkably small impact on the big picture. When we're talking about letting people in here with masks socially distanced.
And that's why I've tried to get us to push to the bigger picture of going to the state or the county and trying to get more action so that we can have a larger imprint. Because I've said before, we're a small little island where, you know, if we have everybody in our town wear masks, it helps, but it doesn't prevent, since there's so many people that come and go all day. Then if we're not going to take that step, then we should at least try to do what we can in here with the power that we do have to protect the people that live here.
Which is why we require masks and distancing inside City Hall. That's why I still, you know.
But if we can do more, then why don't we?
Guess it just depends what your view on the importance of having City Hall open is.
My view on the importance of trying to stop this out has been personal for myself for a long time, but there's a lot of other people that are in similar situations. I think if we all band together and try to actually get everybody to wear a mask and get everybody to, you know, if everybody would have actually stayed home and we would have had a statewide quarantine back in April, whenever we were doing that, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation today. But we haven't had that leadership, so we have to try to do what we can here now.
No, I think we just disagree. I think we've had the same argument.
That's fine.
A lot of times. And I know it's personal for you, Luke. I know it is, and I get it.
any other discussion before we vote? Can they do the buttons, Karen? The programmed?
Can you remind us of the motion?
Yes.
I forgot.
Motion was
Open up 8 to 4.
8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Okay, are you ready, Larry? Council, please vote. then it has failed. So any other topics on this agenda item of public facilities before we move on?
Is there an update on where the library is at with things? Are they thinking about moving towards opening or anything? Or are we just kind of in the same position right now?
I spoke to Adam Rydell a little bit yesterday, the chair of the library board, and it's similar to us where they have it as an open agenda item each time. They meet next Monday. You could always ask for them to report back from their discussion if you want more info.
I think it would be good to just have that information.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's kind of nice to know what they're thinking, like we talked about last
Do you want
time,
us to ask
too.
the library board to report back after their meeting
If they would.
at
That
our
would be
next
nice,
meeting?
yeah.
Are they still meeting monthly?
Yeah.
Is that the-
Okay. Anything else?
Is Shanna prepared to speak?
Oh, looks like Shanna's up there.
Shanna's-
Shanna,
Yeah,
we-
I just, if you guys wanted me to
Perfect.
talk about it, I could. That's fine. As Brett said, we continually evaluate with staff on a regular basis, and obviously with the library board on a monthly basis. Just kind of going up based on the feedback that we've gotten from the community. Most of the feedback we receive is that we are able to meet the needs that they're looking for. Occasionally, we do still have lots of people asking when we are going to open up. And as you guys have been having this discussion this evening, it is a discussion that we continue to have as well. We have our phased plan, but we're looking at other ways that we can. The biggest thing we hear from people really is that they want to be able to browse. And so we've done everything that we can to make sure that we've found ways to help people find books, but we're also exploring other ways that we could make browsing a possibility, even if it's browsing by appointment or whatever. So those are things that we're continually evaluating. But aside from that, everybody seems to be pleased with our continued curbside and being able to fax and being able to print, being able to come in and use the computers by appointment at certain times. Yeah, so that's where we're at. And we've recently expanded our curbside hours. To accommodate people who have had to go back to the office. So we're just doing what we can and again, continually evaluating.
Any other questions for Shanna?
No, thanks, Shanna. I appreciate that update.
You still want an update next meeting, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, that would be good, but
Yeah, after they have their meeting.
I still think so. But yeah, Shanna, I do appreciate, hearing that.
Just want to make sure I was
Yep.
clear.
Absolutely.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Anything else on city facilities? Okay, then we'll close old business, move into new business to resolution number 22, 2020, 2021. A resolution to approve preliminary plat construction drawings for 6th Street Industrial Park First Edition in Nevada. I know Barb had some questions, so maybe Sean can visit the podium there to give a little bit of a Cliff's Notes version. Because when I looked at the P&Z packet last week, I said the same thing. I was like, Sean, it's going to take me forever to figure this out. I want the Cliff's Note version of what I'm looking at. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's basically for everyone who, just to kind of give you an idea where it's at, it's just north of the tracks on the west side of 6th Street. It's that gravel parking lot that is just south of the duplexes that were built by Kerry Martin a few years ago. Basically, that area was a long time ago when we brought in our new zoning ordinance. That area had a lot of single-family dwellings in it. It was zoned as an R3 district in the old zone, but the only people who were looking to do anything in that zoning area were like Mike Post. He wanted to build storage units, and then Chitty, and then also at the time Pratt's, who wanted to increase the size of their businesses, their garbage business, put more parking lot in, and then also some garage space for themselves. But it didn't really fit in the old zone because the industrial uses weren't allowed. And so we kind of had to jerry rig that around. And when we were approving when we were working on our new zoning ordinance, we brought this up to RDG. Actually, it was Scott Harder and myself. He was here at the time. That is concerned with RDG, and RDG stated that they could make this like a railroad overlay district. And what that does is it allows the uses that are already there. The R2s, the single family dwellings are allowed use. So they still have value. You can get a loan. You can do those sort of things so that they're not non-conforming uses. They still have value. But if someone would want to do something like Mike Post did or Chitty did, or what Matt Runge is proposing to do, that would be allowed also. There'd be certain restrictions about it. You'd have to have certain buffer yards, fences, and things like that between the two properties, but it would be an allowed use. And that's basically what was there. When Kerry came and talked about putting duplexes there along Q Avenue, I did inform him that, listen, that property to the south is kind of an industrial area. It was a gravel parking lot that they used as a laydown area and storage. Previously, I said that's going to be an allowed use. That's why he built that fence there behind. Also, the property owner at the time was the other reason he built that. But he was aware of that beforehand. When Matt brought this up, I'd run into Kerry every once in a while. I brought this up and talked to Kerry about it just so he would have a heads up. And he's actually would prefer that than the laydown area. This place is going to have, if you'll notice, there's 20 feet of yard from where the buildings start to the property line. There's that fence there. Although that is Kerry's, that still counts as part of that buffer yard. All the buildings face to the tracks so that when cars and stuff come in, they won't shine their lights into those duplexes. So the use for that does fit the zoning overlay. And then it also it also kind of cleans that area up. And I think we'll make that area a little bit nicer. I don't know if that helps or hurts. If somebody's got any more questions about it.
Okay. Anything else for Sean? You have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Luke, Brian, discussion? Okay, seeing none, council, please vote. And then that is approved. Takes us to item B, resolution number 2020-2021, a resolution approving public storm sewer easement on 616 J Avenue in Nevada, Iowa.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, Barb and Sandy, discussion? Okay, seeing none, council, please vote. And that is approved. Takes us to item C, resolution number 23-2020-2021, resolution to provide for a notice of hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Nevada wastewater treatment facility improvements, phase 1 project, and taking of bids therefore.
Move to
To
approve.
approve.
Second.
Lots of motions. Like I said, it was Brian and Luke. I have trouble with my directional in these boxes. Other discussion? Okay, seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, that is approved. Takes us to resolution number 24-2020-2021, resolution approving Spyglass agreement to provide audit of telecommunications services accounts. I don't know if Jordan has any other background you want to provide before they get into that.
Yeah, so I had a couple of meetings with Joel McCutcheon is his name, and he's with the company Spyglass, and what they do is they review and look at any type of fees that should not be there. So it is a free service if they do not find anything. if they do find something, it's basically the fees that they saved us is what we would be paying them for a 12-month period. So times 12, because it's taking over the amount of time that we would possibly be charged for that. So it's not costing us anything unless they find something, and then they would get a percentage of what we would actually already be paying that other company. And I can explain that, give an example if that works too, if you guys need one.
I move to approve.
Sandy and Luke, discussion? Okay, seeing none, council, please vote. And that is approved. Takes us to report, starting with city administrator.
Other than my report, I don't have much. I just did want to give a thank you to Ray Reynolds. He organized the Verbio Climb. This is the second year in a row for 9/11 remembrance of September 11th. And he did a great job. We had a very large turnout, almost double the size of last year. So it was really good. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any.
So anything for Jordan?
I have one on the wage study proposals. I know, do we get anybody to respond on our?
Yep. So Austin Peters Group has already started. They are working through, they've already received all of the job descriptions. They've talked to our department heads, and we have a meeting scheduled. I believe it starts September 28th through October 1st. They will be interviewing all of the staff.
Excellent.
Yep. So they're moving along quite fast, and it's going great. A lot of communication back and forth.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, seeing nothing else, we'll move on. For my report, there is not a whole lot. Most of it's ongoing. Healthy Hometowns continuing to meet, so there were some meetings about that and will be upcoming as well. Sandy can probably provide some more background to that too. And then won't steal Karen's thunder on the auditors, but got to have our opening conference with them last week. So other than that, got out of here for a week or so after dealing with all the storms. So any questions for me? Okay, and we'll keep moving around for staff. So we'll go to Ray.
I just wanted to say thank you to City Administrator Cook and Public Safety Director Martinez for attending the climb. I'm sure you were equally as sore as I was. So Verbio is a great partner, and they have supported us. And 9/11 is personal for me as well. And I'm reminded of the silence throughout a lot of government entities as police officers are being shot, murdered. And it seems like the silent supporters are not very vocal. So just take that into consideration as a city council, that your support, continued support to law enforcement, I think is important. And that should not be the norm, what's happening throughout this country.
Hey, Ray, you still got the steel? They go home. The chunk of steel.
We do have this steel. We did put it on display that night. We had a number of folks that came out, which was pretty impressive considering the rain and drizzle. It'll go back tomorrow to Fire Service Training Bureau. So surprisingly, nobody's asked for it every year, and we do. And so they've been very supportive of our event, and we're very hopeful that on the 20th anniversary that we can do it again. So, but it just gets bigger and bigger. Our farthest participant was Kansas City. So that's quite a ways, 4-hour trip. So yeah, thanks.
We almost had one from Colorado, but unfortunately he was unable to make it. It was a deputy out in Denver. I spoke to his father, and his father was telling me that he really wanted to come but couldn't because he had a shift.
Well, I was really excited because this is the first time we've had law enforcement and we've had military. And so Colonel Duggar, most of you know, he did the climb, and also an Iowa State football player was a guest that did the climb as well. And the sheriff's office had 6 deputies in full tack gear do the climb 6 times. So, and we had 1 participant who did it 11. So that's about 10 more than I would want to do it. So, but yeah, good on them. So thank you.
Wow. That's right. Sean. Council, anything for Sean?
What's our 6th Street open date?
I'm hoping that we will be opening between J and K by Monday. And then the next block would be the following week. Got a couple of lights, street lights up in case anybody's looking. There'll be a few more go up tomorrow. Brick guys will be working in between J and K, and the concrete guys will continue to work on the sidewalks between K and Lincoln Way, and hopefully be finishing those up by the end of the week. Everybody will be finishing up by the end of the week. We'll be working on the interconnection between 6th Street and Lincoln Way, and then 6th Street and K Avenue. And when we've done all those, we'll come back on. We'll open it in. The brick is done, we'll open it up. But, right now, all the pieces are in place, and we're moving right along.
We're gonna open the barricades then for tomorrow's parade.
They know that they're supposed to have that street clean and ready to go.
Okay. Don't make me a liar.
No. We've scheduled it. Martinez has been on me about it for about, 2 weeks? Yeah.
At least. Good.
So that's etched in their brains that at 6 o'clock that there will be a parade.
Thank you.
You bet.
Sit out there long enough, you'll see people drive through it anyway.
Yeah.
And we will move over to Rick.
Well, I'll touch on the Verbile thing. I want to thank Jordan and Ray. They bought the first 90 hot dogs from the Chicago Treats truck that was there, and everybody ate them all. So that was really well. I'll give credit to Ray. He did the climb 3 times, and whether he wanted to or not, he did it 3 times, and still sore. So I did it once, and I was really, really sore, but I'm okay now. So I'm used to running, so I'm all right with that. Normally on the homecoming parade, I send you a letter of approval of the parade route and everything else that the school's supposed to do. But Christian and I have been going back and forth because he's been negotiating with the student council to get it all set up. And part of it was, is 6th Street going to be open? What's the route going to be? That sort of thing. So I've been working with Sean quite a bit to get that worked out. So barring something unforeseen, we should have a parade going down 6th Street tomorrow. However, just in case, we have an alternate route. So, so we got that part worked out. And then you had such a long discussion on the COVID thing. One of my officers' child has COVID. And so we were kind of figuring out what we needed to do to make sure that all our employees are safe at the police department. So we got that worked out. He's coming to work. He's got to test himself during the day 2 or 3 different times. He's wearing a mask. So we'll be all right with that. But it's the first time it's actually touched us. Josie had it when she was serving her military time. But part of that time was taken care of by her military duty. So they kept her on duty a little longer. So but other than that, unless you have any questions, I'm good.
You have a time frame for when the office staff will be full-time again?
Nope. I'll keep it that way and until I see something different. I don't try to get involved in your discussions concerning COVID, but I totally disagree with having City Hall open, and I think there's a lot of things that we should be doing, but nevertheless, you guys make the decision, and so we'll do whatever you want, but until you tell me to have my employees come back full-time, they're going to keep doing what they're doing now, so.
Are they working from home then, the other 2.5 days, or?
They're off those 2.5 days. I know Kathy does a lot of work from home because she can do that, but animal control can't hardly do that. And so she does whatever she does at home. So I'm pretty confident they're staying at home and doing the things that they're supposed to do. So anything else? Thank you.
Karen?
I submitted the state COVID reimbursement today. We'll see how that pans out, see how many questions we get. Working, updating the policies that are required for FEMA submission. So there'll be a couple of those next meeting. Budget is supposed to begin this month. We're going to work on that. Last week, this is supposed to be the last week for the auditors. Hopefully, we hope so. I've been working a lot with them. Last week it was pretty crazy. I think I spent most of my time on the phone with them. So it's been a challenge. I think when they're not here, it's harder to explain and just talk and figure it all out. So.
Council, anything for Karen? Before I forget about Shanna online, Shanna, do you have anything to add from the library?
No, mostly just what I had before. Another quick thing was that Travis has been working with the schools to figure out ways that particularly the 3rd and 4th graders and the middle schoolers, if there are ways that they can, he can arrange with the teachers to teach the kids how to place their own holds so that we can pull books for them and get books to those students. So we're just working through some logistics about all of that. And I know he's talked to some of the elementary teachers about as long as we're able to enjoy some decent weather, seeing if there are ways that we could do some outside story times with them too. So that's all the extra I have, I think.
Council, anything for Shanna? Okay, thanks, Shanna. So we'll go over to Larry.
Thank you, Mayor. Most of my time working for the city has been spent with helping staff do a variety of things, doing 3 different subdivisions and plans and things like that. John mentioned the downtown project, and I have to say that it's going extremely well. Very, very few unexpected hiccups along the way. Harking back 3 years ago, we were doing 6th Street and 8th Street, and set a record for me in change orders, probably more in one project than I did in my whole working career. And so far on this project, we've had 1, and that was actually city initiated to put up additional barriers. So it's been very, very good project, and the outcome is looking extremely good.
Would you please knock on some wood? Can you knock on some wood or something after all?
Oh, we expect to continue. But it's kind of exciting to see a lot of the streetscaping going in, and there's two light poles that have been erected on the far south end. So, and they're just really cool. So we look forward to more going up tomorrow and by the end of the week. And it's exciting time to watch what's going on downtown. I did want to mention that a couple weeks ago, one of the things we were concerned about with the wastewater treatment facility is the acquisition of a conditional use permit from the county for the appropriate zoning and use of that property. The first hurdle was cleared 2 weeks ago, and the Planning and Zoning Commission approved. They made a recommendation to the Board of Adjustment for approval of that conditional use permit. On Wednesday, the Board of Adjustment here is the case, and we'll make the final determination. We don't expect problems, but you never know. There's really only one person who voiced an opposition to it, and that was from someone across the creek who owned land that thought they might build on it in the future. But in the end, there was not that much discussion, not much of any dissent from the P&Z members. So we hope the same thing with the Board of Adjustment. So we'll find out. With that, with what you approved tonight to go out for bid is simply the first phase of the project, and that's really to do the site grading and pipe work and build the roads and culverts and that thing. So when the second phase is bid for the actual construction of the plant, they'll have the building platform all prepared and they can get to work right away. So that work could start this fall. It may not go until next year. We'll have to see depending on weather. But hopefully the construction platform will be ready to go for early spring construction with the plant. So lots of good things going on there. So, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, anything for Larry? Thanks, Larry. Aaron?
Nothing for me.
Perfect.
Yep.
Mayor, may I ask a question? The city, when Larry was talking, I accidentally brought back the memory. But since the city agreed to put the intersection out at Airport Road, I know there's an agreement with Central Iowa Water that the city can buy the rights on the west side of that road. I'm wondering if anybody has looked into that, because if there's going to be some economic development, it could very well happen on that west side of the road. And while you have the option, unless it's expired, you might want to look into that, because you do not want to get into a fight, okay, because you will lose. So you might want to look into this agreement if it hasn't expired, because you won't get it any cheaper.
And I wasn't aware of one, but we'll do some digging and see if there's something out there.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else before we adjourn? I guess I didn't ask for council reports, so.
I would just add one thing. You'll recall that we approved a match for the rural housing assessment grant that will help us, I think, understand things like what we talked about tonight, where we're talking about an industrial park in a certain place, and do we have the best policies in place and things like that. Just wanted to remind you that application reopened September 1st. They closed it down, with all the things going on for a bit, but it's reopened and we're in there. So by the end of the month, we may know if we're a recipient of that. And John Hall's riding herd on that project for now, but definitely will be involving the city too.
Good. Thanks, Sandy. Anything else?
If anybody was keeping tabs on the next 5K in town and the concert that we're doing afterwards, that has moved from the new baseball field to Billy Sunday. So if you are planning to go to that, or if anyone asks you about it, it's going to be at Billy Sunday on October 4th. If Tim were here, I would thank him for working with us on that. But Tim, if you're listening, thank you.
I know Rick is sad because it's going to put it all on the trail, and like
Rick's gonna-
5Ks are only on the trail.
There's one block on the street. Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Then we have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Is that Sandy? Okay, Dane and Sandy, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?